You can predict how successful any business is going to be by looking at what the owner does on a day-to-day basis. And I know this because I've partnered with over 20 businesses, have worked with them and got them to the first 10k per month and 100k per month. And in all of those businesses, you could easily see why some of them were successful and why some of them aren't successful by seeing what the owner did in their day-to-day basis. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what you should do at any stage of your business, and I'm trying to help you whether you are at your first 10k per month, you are at 0, or you're looking to scale past 50k per month. We divide it into 2 stages. Before you have a good product with a good proof of concept, and after you have a good product with a good proof of concept. Now, before you have a good product, you're realistically not making that much money. Otherwise, you will have people buying your product, therefore a proof of concept, and most of the cases a good product, that is a decent product. Before you have what you would consider in your niche a good product, something that actually solves the people's problem and delivers it, your first 4 hours of the day, minimum, even more than that, should be fully dedicated to building that product, to getting that proof of concept, but obviously before getting you need to build the good product. Now, what Alessandro mostly likes to say, or he used to say it a lot more, I haven't said it in any of his recent videos, but he did say it a lot, is that when you advertise a bad product, you're advertising a shitty sandwich, basically. Like, you're just telling more people that your sandwiches suck. If you do advertisement of any kind before your product is good, then you're just letting more people know that your stuff sucks. You might be making some money, but that's a very short-term move, because soon enough, a lot of people are going to know that your shit sucks. And after a lot of people know that, no one's gonna buy from you anymore, and you have a bad reputation, which is extremely hard to clean. That being said, those are your first 4 hours of the day minimum. If you can spend more time. You need to spend everything you have. Obviously, if you don't have 4 hours on the day, spend as much as you physically have on building your product, on getting that product. At the start, just a feeling, because you don't have realistically any proof of concept or anyone to kinda check that product with, and you should try to find those people. If you're selling a product that maybe your friends can can give you a review, or anyone or you can go on the streets and ask people what they think about your product if it's physical stuff. You need to get to that point where you feel confident, either through data or through your own experience, that product is good and it can solve the issue. After you do that, obviously you start to sell it and you have proof of concept. Now, when you're at that stage, you go to the second part. The second stage is after you have a good product. Now you get, you go to stage 2, which is every single day you do at least 4 hours of advertisement. People need to know that your stuff exists and that it's good. Because right now you have a good product. So if you do advertisement, you're gonna let more people know that you sell good shit, which is a good thing, because eventually your reputation is gonna grow, and now a lot of people know you sell good shit. That's how it works. What marketing does, what advertisement does, is it amplifies what you already have. If you have good stuff, more people know you have good stuff. If you have bad stuff, more people know you have bad stuff. If you have good customer review, good customer service, more people know you have good customer service. If you have bad customer service, more people know you have bad customer service. At any stage of the customer's journey, which is the start of getting your product, actually starts even before how you treat people before their customers. If you have sales calls, or if you have a funnel, if you give free value, if you don't give free value, it starts from there. That's still building reputation. So you should have the first stage, even before people buy, as good as possible. That's what brands like very expensive brands like Rolex, or honestly any of those luxury brands do. If you go to a Rolex store, a good one, they might give you champagne, talk to you and tell you that and just treat you well. If you go to Las Vegas and you go to the big casinos, you can just go in there even if you don't spend any money, and it looks incredible. They just let anyone in those hotels, because the purpose is you enter for the hotel, you see how cool it is, and then you stay at the casino. So, and they treat you, that's how it works. That's before that builds a reputation. Okay, that now after the customer gets the first step, which realistically for most people it's a lead magnet. It's like taste, they can, I don't know, they call like a sample for like, food and stuff like that. It can be anything that makes them, that is a good impression on the customer before they even buy. Then they end up buying, obviously, that's part of the process. When they buy, what happens after? Is the product good? Of course it's gonna be good, at least, like that's what you should aim for. It's gonna solve the problem. Does he have any issues? Because most products have issues. Like any product at any point, no matter what it is, has at least one case in which it doesn't work or it doesn't work as well. And that's going to lead to people complaining. And that's where customer service comes from. Customer service, it can be either yourself or a team. It's extremely important. And most people think that because they do it themselves, it's going to be good. That's not how it works. I work with people who, because of their ego, obviously you don't notice your ego. So you might have it and you don't even notice it. I probably have some ego in some part of my business that I'm not noticing. If you have your ego during customer service, that's gonna completely fuck up your business. I work with incredible businesses who were almost completely ruined by the fact that the owner had so much pride and ego in his product that he didn't want to get any feedback and he listened to the complaints. That happens. So in customer service, if you're doing it yourself specifically, you need to be prepared to people criticizing your product or to people saying stupid stuff that doesn't make sense. And even with the stupid stuff, especially with the stupid stuff, you need to act as if they're right. They're always right. They always are. Obviously, when it comes to like refunds and stuff like that, you need to have like some policies and you need to see, if the situation is worth a refund. But when it comes to feedback and people just complaining, they are always right. Always, no matter what. Obviously, there is some cases, you use a little bit of like critical thinking, but in most cases, they are, because they got your product and something happened, and now they are complaining. So you need to solve that, and that's another part of your reputation. The more advertising you do, the more people go through each of those stages. Obviously, each stages lose some people, because if you have 100 people through your funnel, you're not gonna get 100 customers, and out of 100 customers, not every single customer is gonna have a problem and complain. Not everyone who complains, not everyone wants to have a refund, and so on. And you go down the line. So whether it's your team or you need to have good customer service, which comes from just understanding what the actual issue is and see if you can solve it and see if it's worth a refund and actually listening to people. Most cases, it's better to give a refund than to argue with the customer, because the customer, at the end of the day, you are losing like $50, $40, $30, whatever is your product, plus delivery, but you are not getting that much bad reputation. Obviously, if you're at the start of your business, refunds are a little bit more tricky, but if you're at a point where you can afford it, it's better not to argue with the customer, because the people who are going to ask a refund are always going to be in the vast minority, unless your product sucks, of course. That being said, that's where the second stage comes from, like I said, which is advertisement. And that's why building the product is important. Obviously, building the stages of customer service, of when the skills of giving refunds, of treating customers, and all of that kind of stuff comes with time. You don't have to have it at the start. The only thing you need at the start is a product that solves the issue that you're promising. If it doesn't solve that issue, then promise less. You keep promising less, and you keep matching the expectation that your product can realistically achieve. Okay, so that's the second priority. After that stage, you go to the second, which is advertisement. Now, advertisement is basically from here till you're making more money than you can have in your bank account. But that's forever. Advertisement is gonna be your main priority for such a long time. It just switches. At the start, it's you doing the advertisement, you recording the videos, you doing the messages, you posting, you putting the flyers around, you creating the creatives, you doing the billboards, whatever it is, it's you. That's the start. And that goes on for a long time, like especially with content that can go on forever. With things like outreach, it gets outsourced easier. I would say, outreach around the 10K per month mark, that's where you start to remove it. For bigger things like ads and so on, that you have to go past like 20-30K per month to start outsource them. Realistically, even more. I like to wait as much as possible. The way I like to outsource is this task not physically possible for me anymore? And even if it was, would it be worth my time? Like, do I make more money by giving more time to content, for example? Like, does me doing ads make me lose more money than me paying someone else? Like, the point where you start to shift is where the time you're losing doing that action is making you lose more money than paying someone to do that action. So let's say you're paying someone $2,000 a month for outreach is doing outreach daily, those 4 to 6 hours costing you more than $2,000. Well, realistically, yes, if you're making more than 10K per month, because that's gonna help you put in content and scale even more. So then you hired someone, okay, and that goes on for every task. You're making 40K per month. Those depending on how good your ads manager everyone is. Is it worth like $4,000 per month, or if you're working, with an agency, depends on who you're working. Is it worth $4,000 per month plus? It might be. Maybe you those couple of hours you're putting into ads, and you're not getting the best return because obviously you're not as good as someone who does it, as his life, like as his job. Is that time worth like you losing some capacity if you're doing coaching, or things that require your time, or you losing time you could put in content, or in more creatives, or in recording more? You need to think through that frame, and eventually you scale. Before 10K, if you have a setup that's realistically the first thing you outsource. Then the next thing is I like to wait as much as possible to outsource a closer if you like to the closing, because you're always gonna have a higher closing rate than your closer, because you're you, and if you have your face in a brand, people are going to want to talk with you more than want to talk with a random dude that is there just for the purpose of closing them, which good closers obviously overcome that issue, but they're never going to do it as well as you being just you, because people want you to talk with you. So that's the main part, that's the honestly, you want to wait as long as possible to outsource closing, and before you do that, you want to get a closer and start to train him on your sales calls at 1 month before or 2 months before you plan to fully outsource it. Like, this is extremely important. I've worked with businesses, with owners that for the hurry of outsourcing closing, because it's a hard job, it's a lot of time, they just hire someone and then fuck off. Like, they hire someone and then go do something else. That's not how it works. You get a closer, you train him, you give him some sales calls, realistically 10 to 20%. Obviously, you have an agreement with him that it's going to be, at the start, you're not going to take as many calls. This is going to be only 1 or 2 hours per day when you do this, because, right now you need, we're doing it slowly. You need to get better with my product, not as a closer, but with my product, which is extremely important. So you give him only a couple of hours per day, then you give him a little bit more, and you give him more calls, and you give him more of your calls, and you give him more training, and you repeat the process till you're basically 50-50. Now, how is he doing? Is he closing just slightly less than you? Because realistically, he's not going to close as much as you, unless he's an incredible closer or you are a bad closer, But he's not going to be closing as much as you, because you're still the founder and you're still the main face of the product. If you're the main face of the product, obviously, because you might not be. You might be like a faceless brand, which obviously there is like some cases in which it can be better if you want to sell the business in the future. But that being said, once you reach the 50-50 stage, then you give more. One day, guess what? You're not gonna be taking sales calls anymore, and this guy is closing, but maybe as much as you. Now you have a fully set closer. That's how you do it. And if you want to add another one, you do the same thing with the other dude. Obviously, you need to have like a surplus of calls if you want to add another closer. To that point, you give him 2 calls, and you train him on the video of the other guy and your videos, and you repeat the process till above 100%, and you repeat. That's how you do it. Okay, this was a completely different tangent. Nothing to do with the topic of the video, but okay, it's value. Okay, now that's that's if you want to outsource under 10K per month, then you outsource your advertisement and so on. There are different stages to this. Okay, and the best way to know when to outsource, the reason why I'm not just giving you the stages is because your business is different than mine, and I don't know, because I have no idea what your business is. I have no way to know. Even if this video has 5 views, realistically, there might be 5 different businesses, and I have no way to know. Even with 1 view, how do I know what business is yours? So I would rather give you the kind of the way I like to think this through, and the way I think this through when I work with my clients, than just telling you a 50K per month outsource your advertisement. Because that might not be the case. You might have gotten to 50K per month purely of referrals, purely of one method, or maybe you didn't even need advertisement, just word of mouth, and you have an incredible word of mouth and you do 0 advertisement. So you have no way to know where you should outsource it. But what I can tell you is that you should outsource when doing that task is costing you more money than hiring someone. realistically hiring someone good. People who are good tend to charge more, tend to get paid more. So try to aim for the people who get paid 40-50% more but do a better job than people who are barely doing the job but you save money, because you're gonna lose way more money by buying someone by paying someone who underperforms but is cheaper than by hiring someone who maybe you need to pay 50% more or even double, but he does a 3-4 times 5 times better job than the guy who's underperforming because you wanted to pay him less. It's not worth it, especially if that's your main advertisement method. Now, after you go through all of this, if you outsource everything and you spend 4 hours per day or more, realistically more, on advertisement for the next, maybe a full year, maybe 2 years of your business, that's how big this stage is. Then you go to the third stage. Now, this stage is not one I have a lot of experience in, but from my experience with this, the main thing that happens is you reach capacity for your product. Whether it's coaching, physical, and so on. That's after the 100k per month mark. That's where the main issues are going to be: how do I deliver to more clients? Because if you're making 100k per month, you are getting the clients. Like, you shouldn't have an issue on getting clients if you're making 100k per month. But the main issue should be, can your model get more clients? Like, are you doing one-to-one coaching where it takes a lot of your time, and 100k per month for you is like 20 clients per month? You don't have time anymore. So you have different options. You charge way more, you increase the price, so you have to get less clients to make more money. Or do you change model? Do you do coaching with real life events, so you charge more and you have a part of your thing which is real life events, so you have to spend less time coaching? Do you do community? Like, that's where the part where you have to find ways to increase capacity. And that's your main focus. This is more of a one-off solution for most businesses. It's like 3 months of how do I do this? How do I increase capacity for my business? And after that period, you kind of just repeat the process. The more you grow, the more you repeat the process. For physical businesses, it's production. It's how can I be able to produce more of my product and have a big, especially if you're selling online, like more storage, more capacity to deliver. Can I save more money on delivery of the product and stuff like that? That's where it comes. This is why this part is a little bit trickier, because this is where it really becomes dependent on the business model. Like, coaching does it in a way, physical product do it in a way, agencies do it in a way, and so on. This is where it gets trickier. But the main part is going to be that whatever your business model is, you need to think in terms of growth. Can this business go to the next stage I want? Can this business grow to that part? A lot of business models can. Maybe there are some things, again, like coaching, which needs to be modified a little bit in order to get to 500k per month, even 200k per month. But most businesses can. But can yours? Can your business do it? You can comment your business, and I can tell you from experience if it's something that's easy to do or how to do it if I know it. But I don't know. So now it's up to you. The fourth stage right there is, can the business model I'm running right now get past that point? If he can, then it's then you focus on that part. You focus on, because at 100k per month, you're realistically gonna have people who handle the low leverage activities, whatever is DMs, advertisements, and so on. You're probably still doing content, because content is something you only can do unless you want to get your brand, you get off your face off the brand, which is a move. But let's say you're still doing content, your main things will be doing the content, and how can I grow this in terms of capacity? Do I need to change model? Yes, no, okay. So now, can I do more of that? Can I do more of what they're doing? Could I still deliver the same quality and the same product if we are making 200k per month? Yes, no, okay. What do I do? Do I need to increase the production? Do I need to outsource the production? Maybe that will probably lower the quality of the product. Can I get a production in-house of the product, and I produce, we produce it our own product, and that helps. Maybe it's a little bit slower, it's a bit more effort, but that will help the process, and it makes us scale more. Is the delivery the issue? Am I paying too much to send the product to someone which is outside of, for example, the US? Should I only niche down to the US so I can pay less? It's things like that, it's small changes like that unfortunately I can't know for you. When it comes to digital products, the main thing is hiring. From my experiences, can I outsource my own time, my expertise? if you can, maybe with some particular types of coaching, the fitness coaching, you can easily outsource it, then yes, that's perfect. Okay, you outsource that and you scale. You have multiple coaches who do part of your job for you. Maybe you still do some calls because people are still paying for you, and you can charge more if you do some yourself. But you can outsource it to other people. If it's business coaching, that's a little bit harder, because if you're teaching a particular business, your expertise is what people search for, but you can still do it. Can you do real life event and you do like 4 events a year, 5 events a year? You have a yearly subscription, and that's what people pay for. And you have maybe only one coaching call per month per person, or even less. One coaching call or you have maybe just one big coaching call. If you're really good, you can have one big coaching call which solves a lot of issues for them. It's worth your money, and then you do real life events. There's a lot of ways, and it's mainly up to your critical thinking skills. These are the ones I use. What I'm mentioning right now is the ones I've used and the ones that happened to me. I don't know your business model. Comment it down and I might help you, but this is the video. Mwah! Thank you for watching. Get out of here.